This weekend on the original Rochester Press Box.
I'm Pat Duffy from the Break Room on WCMF. I'm going to tell you why the key to 5 straight Stanley Cups for the Buffalo Sabres lives in the suburbs here in Rochester, New York.
And I'm John DiTullio. I've seen the light on the designated hitter now going to the National League.
And I'm Mike Catalana. Rochester has a connection to a golf classic that we lost this week.
And I'm Bill Pucko, cheering on the basis of character issues. Join us this weekend on the original Rochester Press Box. Everyone, and welcome into the original Rochester Press Box. I'm Bill Pucko, joined as always by John DiTullio.
Billy, I can't tell you. First time you got it right, A and B, I'm so excited to see you.
It's the second time I got it right.
Maybe.
I'm a stats guy.
Sure.
Mike Catalana, our co-host from 13 WHAM News.
Good to be back.
And Pat Duffy rejoins us from the break room at WCMF. Good to have you, 2014 Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, great to be back, and I miss you guys so much, so much.
Really?
Even you, Mike.
Surprised the heck out of me to find that you were a mission bouter.
Yes, I was a fighter. I went to Aquinas and fought in the mission bouts and just dominated. Just dominated these people.
And actually, it sounds like a joke, but you actually were undefeated, right?
Well, no, I lost one, and I earned that loss. This kid was
well, look, that kind of leads into the first topic. We've gotten, it's almost like Floyd Mayweather has gotten into all this trouble in the last week, because all of a sudden this character issue is the big thing. And if you're rooting for Mayweather, you know, you're in the same class there. The whole idea of assessing character judgments to an athlete and whether or not we can like him, how do you feel about that?
A sport like this, I think it's absolutely fair game because it's two guys fighting each other. I mean, I'm pulling for Pacquiao, I think, like most suburban guys like me are, because Mayweather's a monster. Guy's been to prison for hitting women. On top of that, there's accusations that he hit women that he didn't go to prison for. And Manny Pacquiao could not be more of a clean-cut, beautiful guy. Kid lived down the street because he left home because his dad ate his dog. That's a true story. Grew up in a cardboard box and finds a gym. Guy brings himself up from nothing. That's what every guy wants his kid to be, minus the whole dog thing. How you don't pull for Pacquiao, I have no idea.
But we're aside. We do this with Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
We do this with a lot of people now.
I do think there is, sometimes it all gets lumped together. Like we say character issues. And I heard somebody trying to make an excuse for it the other day, and they were referencing PEDs and a guy cheating on his wife and all these things, which, depends on how you look at it, are all things. What we're talking about with Mayweather is really a crime against society, I think. You know, the domestic violence issue is huge, and it's not an accusation. It's a series of them. He has done jail time. I think when you're just, there isn't really a debate. He's a bad guy, and it's hard for me to sit there and go, I really like this guy, I want to root for him. It's a different mindset than when it's a guy on your football team or a guy on your baseball team. Because as much as you might dislike the guy, he's one guy of 12 or one guy of 25 or one guy of 53 on your team.
You can't attach A-Rod's sins to Derek Jeter.
Well, right, or the whole team. But this is a pretty simple one for the most part. It's these two guys, and you look at one and go, I haven't liked anything about him to begin with. But
listen, I'm a huge Tiger Woods fan, and people rip me because, you must endorse cheating on your wife.
Did people actually say
Yeah,
that?
I'm a Brett Favre fan. Oh, you must endorse taking PEDs and so forth. I don't care if you root for Floyd Mayweather. What do I care? How does it affect me? You root who you want to root for. I'm a big Mike Tyson fan. He served time for raping a woman, yet I still rooted for him. There was something about Mike Tyson. I know what he did was horrible. Not a good dude, but who in the last 25 years has rehabilitated their image more than Mike Tyson? Name
like
one.
A modern day
So,
phenomenon, though?
Over
the last week?
For
suddenly Mayweather...
I don't
He's
think
been fighting for 20 years.
the mass public did not know Floyd Mayweather's bio or his resume up until about a week ago.
But John makes
nobody
a
cared.
good point. I think there's a different differentiation too. I mean, Mike Tyson did go to prison. It's even like Michael Vick. Michael Vick served real time in a federal prison for what he did. You feel like Mayweather this kind of kept continually skated and skated and skated.
But I think the bigger point is this shows how far boxing has fallen from the American view.
Yeah. There you go.
I mean, and most people, and we do the show in the morning, we don't talk about boxing. Nobody knew who this guy was until a month ago, and then they start reading up about him and go, oh my God. Like, if you followed boxing in any way, you knew about this. So I don't think it's so much now they care because he has a big fight. I think now America notices who this guy is.
Why should I care if ABC didn't care? They put him on Dancing with the Stars, which is the most wholesome family show out there, and they paraded him around like he was all-American dude, and he's not.
Well, you say, why should you care? You can care. I mean, I think it's a personal thing. To some people, it goes by, they don't care. I personally I don't like the guy. And by the way, can we say his fights are boring?
Yeah.
His fights are boring. He fights. He's incredibly. He's a tactician. That's what everybody says. You can't hit him. His fights are boring.
He fought Mosley past his prime, and he fought Oscar De La Hoya past his prime.
Yeah.
And now he's fighting Pacquiao when they're both past their prime.
Historically great, though. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the historically great. The New York Yankees and the New York Mets are both in first place. When we come back with the original Rochester Press Box. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box. John, the Yankees are in first place. Nobody saw that.
I didn't see it coming. Well, listen, it could all fall apart next week. I mean, Teixeira, Ellsbury, A-Rod, guys who, let's face it, are expected, A, to stay healthy, and B, have big years. So it could all fall apart at one point. They did lose Tanaka. But in the day and age, or this day of baseball where it's hard to score runs, Yankees got pitching. Their bullpen may be the best in baseball. So this may not be a fluke, because of the lack of runs being scored in baseball and the way their bullpen is. So they only need about 5-6 innings from their starters, and then you throw it to their bullpen. They may be around for the rest of the year. I don't know. If everyone stays healthy, the core of that team, if they stay healthy, I'm just saying, in that division, I don't think Boston, Toronto, no one's running away with that, or even Baltimore. I think they're all going to be lumped in come September.
Given where the expectations for this team were when the season started, and then scratch Tanaka off that and tell me that A-Rod is their best hitter, I've said this team hasn't won a game yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm not buying into any of this. I mean, I'm sorry. I think they're guys who are contributing now are older. I don't think it'll last. I don't think they'll stay healthy. When they do break down, and they will, it won't look all that surprising. I don't like the team. I don't like the way they play fundamentally. They have flashes of defense, and then there'll be times when they look like they've never played the game before fundamentally. But your point
I like
about
their team, they're scrappy. There's some about this team I like. Didi Gregorius is the worst shortstop in the history of the Yankees,
Right.
and in the history of Major League Baseball, mind you.
How about Stephen
I've never
Drew
seen a worse
bouncing
shortstop.
the throw home the other day? Tell me he's doing that on purpose.
But you know what? Stephen Drew, he's made some plays at short and second this
when
year.
you're counting on McCann, Drew,
McCann's hot right now. I think Yankee Stadium is tailor-made for McCann's swing. And the guy is on fire right now.
I'll give John this. They're in it because Boston's pitching has been abysmal.
It's horrible.
And nobody else looks great at the moment, but that team's going to break down.
Well, you guys are all right about the division, me being a Blue Jays fan, but let me ask you this. If they're in it around All-Star game time, now they come into this season writing it off. No one's expecting anything.
Sure.
A-Rod's your feast or famine best player. Are they going to make some moves at the trade deadline to try and bolster this lineup? I mean, wouldn't it be the most ironic season in Yankees history that they don't go in with the guns and they actually do it like a legitimate baseball team and this goes somewhere for them? Because they're going to be doing what the A's or the Royals or whatever mid-level team would be doing in a normal season.
That's a great point because I don't think they've expected to be like that.
No.
You know, that they weren't going to be buyers at the trading deadline, but now they may be forced. Their hand is forced.
Well, I don't know who they would have in terms of you don't want to trade away some of their young players. I think Eovaldi has been the one guy that could be the anchor of that staff throughout as the season progresses, especially with Tanaka's status. Sabathia is He's back to eating Captain Crunch, and it's not working.
Is he finished?
I think he's done. He's awful. He's looked terrible in his last 2 starts. But I don't know, getting back to Duffy's point, I don't know if they want to give away some of their young assets. And then who are the other guys that they may want to peddle? You want to get rid of, who wants Beltran? I'm thinking of some aging guys that they may want to peddle to bring in somebody.
The guys like Beltran are the ones that become available.
Yeah. A month from now, tell me all these old guys are still healthy and still hitting, and then maybe I would feel differently. I'm not buying in yet.
Mets still a better team than the Yankees?
They have a better starting staff. When you can throw DeGrom and you can throw Harvey at the top of the rotation, and their bullpen's pretty good, they're better. And Wright's been hurt. Wait till he gets back.
And that's a bad division, too. I mean, right? Washington has been abysmal. The Phillies are maybe the worst team in baseball. The Marlins aren't any good. I mean, that's a bad
Washington
division.
is disappointing because they're loaded. The Nationals are loaded.
Like it or not, when we return. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box. Michael, I love it when tweeters get out of control. So our like it or not is that Houston is beating Dallas in the NBA playoffs, and just before the series ends, they tweet out, "Close your eyes, it'll all be over soon."
Look, it's funny. It's funny. It's 2 geeky guys running the Twitter feed. I mean, it's not like it's McHale, and Carlisle tweeting back and forth during the game. And then, of course, they apologize like they...
Well, it's because Dallas responds by saying, that's kind of, a cheap shot, but we wish you well in the next
future.
round.
Right. So they went right past it and took the high road. It's a Twitter war between 2 guys or women, whoever are in charge. It's kind of funny. I don't take it too much, so I'll say I like it. I liked it a little bit of that. None of that phases me very much.
This is the first one of these I actually thought was funny.
Yeah. I'm not a big fan.
No?
Yeah, it's all right. Well, like Mike said, if it's McHale doing it,
Come on. Can we have any fun here? Can we have any fun?
I'm Krusty Man now. I've turned into Krusty Man.
Everything is so buttoned up in the NBA. I miss the Pistons. I miss all that stuff in the late. I don't care if it's 2 nerds sitting behind a computer typing on screen. It's still something. It's still something to talk about.
But I mean, if they actually apologize.
It's
for that. So just get off his lawn and let him talk.
By the way,
Duffy, you are a hockey guy, so I'll give you like it or not so far what you've seen in the NHL playoffs.
I think the game's been phenomenal, especially over the last week. I know we're going to the second round, but that Caps-Isles series was back and forth and awesome. Detroit Lightning was awesome. Even the Montreal-Ottawa series, where it's pretty, you look at just how the games have gone, it looks dominated by one team. That was tight. Even, Winnipeg gets swept. Those games were fantastic. The only thing I feel bad about is most of our Rochester connections are about gone. I mean, Clark MacArthur out in Ottawa has the series of his career, and they still get trounced the way they do. Catalana, all that stuff. It's going to be, I love watching hockey. It'll be a little less fun for me come round 2 and 3.
I like that Pittsburgh Rangers series.
That was great, too.
I know Malkin stunk up the joint, but every game was close. Every game the Rangers won was by a score of 2-1.
Yeah.
It's the Rangers' cup to lose, I think, at this point. But that was a great series.
But I think the Islanders Cap series was better.
Yeah.
I mean, they really went at it. That was a very physical. I heard Brooks Opik talking, and he was saying, I've never been hit so much in a series, even against Flyers Penguins. Orpik, he got banged around a lot.
Well, that last game in the Pens-Rangers series, that overtime where New York won it, was the best 7 minutes of hockey I've ever seen. Just up and down, full sprint, bodies flying everywhere.
John, like it or not, Loveless in Cleveland.
Listen, as somebody who's rooting for Cleveland, no, I don't like it at all. I thought you could see what the possibilities were. I thought Love was great against Boston. Averaging, over 18 points, 9 rebounds a game.
The guy everyone thought he was.
And you're going to go against the Bulls, I think, in the second round. And listen, he can play big. I know he shoots the 3 well, but you need someone to go up against that Chicago front line. And you're looking ahead to San Antonio, the Clippers, or Golden State. That's a big piece to overcome. Because I really thought when LeBron James says before the playoffs, Love's the key to this whole thing, and then he goes down. But you still have the best player in basketball. You may have the second best player in basketball in Kyrie Irving. So Cleveland still got a great shot. I like their chances better with Kevin Love, though. Way he rebounds and can shoot and the way he passes.
Slow him. You didn't really say Kyrie Irving could be the second best player in basketball.
No, left in the playoffs right now.
Really?
Yeah.
James Harden.
Point guard.
Steph Curry.
Listen, Let me backtrack somewhat.
Okay.
In terms of a sidekick.
Oh, sidekick.
Of a
I'll give you a
sidekick.
sidekick.
The second best player
had to
playing
call him
next
out
to
there a little bit.
In terms, I will say this. I will say that's LeBron's best running mate maybe he's had, because Dwayne Wade was not at his peak.
Yes.
Kyrie Irving is 23 years old and is a freak.
And
this is the best team and the best teammate he's had.
And that when you watch that Boston series, those two were the difference, obviously. But that's when you talked about it before, what Boston had. Scrappy, play hard, oh, that's great. They don't have the one or the two or even the three to match up. And at any moment, they could go to either one of those guys or any of the three guys, and they can win a series for them or win a game.
How about the folks in the front office in Cleveland shocked? Oh, I can't believe this happened. Love is down and J.R. Smith. That thing happened. Do you not read what has happened in the last 3 years in the NBA? Kevin Love's a soft power forward who doesn't get out of the first round, and J.R. Smith's insane. And what happens in the same game? Guy goes down with the dislocated shoulders, not coming out of the first, and J.R. Smith goes all J.R. Smith all over everybody. This was going to happen. It was going to happen.
Unfinished business when we return. It's the Challenger Miracle Field, and it's being built in Webster for our physically and emotionally challenged friends. It'll cost $500,000. Opening day is 2016. You can help make it happen. Check it out, webstermiraclefield.org. Welcome back to the original Rochester Press Box Unfinished Business. John, you got something?
Well, I'm crusty. I know everyone knows I'm crusty, and I'm also a purist. However, we talked earlier about the NBA. We saw a controversial call Tuesday, a offensive goaltending call on DeAndre Jordan. Now, there's now talk that they may do away with the offensive interference and adopt the international rule, allowing offensive goaltending, so to speak, or allowed to touch the ball in the cylinder. I'm okay with that. Stay with me on this one. College basketball, I'm in favor of them reducing the shot clock from 35 seconds to 30 seconds. Now, something I've been failing to budge on, but now I have seen the light, is now Major League Baseball. I hate interleague play, but I've come around now to say, you know what, I think it's for the betterment of the game. Now there's talk in the National League of allowing the designated hitter. Do I believe they should adopt the designated hitter because Adam Wainwright tore his Achilles running to first base? No, baseball's got a ton of problems, but I will say this, interleague play now dominates Major League Baseball, and to have one league have the DH and have one league not do it, to me, makes no sense. The National League should adopt the designated hitter. It is long overdue. I'm old enough to remember when the American League adopted it in 1973 to add more offense. The game needs more offense, and I think it would only help the National League, and it could extend careers. Maybe Albert Pujols went and left St. Louis, could have signed with another National League team had there been a designated hitter in the senior circuit. I'm in favor of allowing the designated hitter in the National League. I never thought I would say that because I am a purist. I'm a dying breed. I know it, but I love baseball.
The National League's the only league in the entire world, baseball league in the entire world,
And the
that
game
doesn't
has
use the
changed
DH.
so much with so many relief pitchers, power pitchers coming out of the bullpen. You know, you're facing guys throwing 95 and 100 miles an hour. That didn't happen 20 some odd years ago. It's a different game. It needs offense.
I hope the quicker shot clock helps college basketball, because we all remember when the height of college basketball, its best days when they had no shot clock. Shot clock doesn't all of a sudden make people better players.
This is the most important upcoming season, not only for the Buffalo Sabres maybe in history, but the Rochester Americans. So Ted Nolan, he's gone. They get rid of him. We come in second in the lottery here. So Eichel's coming to town. Eichel will be fine. The guys, Zegman Skirgin, he's going to be fine. Everything will be just fine. The problem you got is you have a ton of young guys picked between first and three coming up from juniors to the Rochester Americans, and you need a guy to lead them. Head coach of the Amherst, Chad Cassidy. There's been a couple of knocks on him that Mikhail Grigorenko hasn't been growing as a player because it's something that he's been doing. He's been mismanaging him. Now, I like Chad, but if you're going to get rid of him, and you might, even though it's been a while since the end of the season, you have a guy in your system that is the guy that can get these kids playing. Randy Cunneyworth, former NHL captain, a guy who's led on and off the ice, former NHL head coach, and a guy who's been scouting these kids for the last couple of years for the Buffalo Sabres, knows their strengths, knows their weaknesses, knows what they can do. It's not so much how you're going to play them on the ice. You're teaching them an attitude. You can see with Grigorenko when he's playing up in Buffalo that he doesn't have the attitude of a guy that wants to play pro hockey in America. I think that if you take Randy and you put him behind the bench in Rochester, you're giving the best start possible to those kids that are coming through. And let's face it, if they don't come through, you've got another 5, 6, 7 years of disaster up in Buffalo.
There's no question. He's an asset, though, Cunneyworth, right?
I don't understand how he didn't get a job after what happened in Montreal. Now, I know there's those politics and he doesn't speak French and blah, 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 which is garbage, wouldn't happen in America, a whole other story. But how he doesn't get another look from somebody, unless he's been waiting for something that he was told here in Rochester.
Yeah, I think it might be if he wants to be a head coach again and wants to do it at the American Hockey League level. Obviously, he has the credentials to do it. He's done it here before. I mean, if Chad is gone, I would love to see Randy get that.
Makes sense.
It is a good point, though. It's been this long. They haven't let him go. I would have thought Pegula, he's going to give everyone their shot before he's going to clean house. I would have thought he would have been gone by now.
Calvin Peete died this week. And if you don't know Calvin Peete, he was an African-American golfer who played on the tour mostly in the 70s and the 80s up to about in the 90s when he played on the Champions Tour. Calvin Peete learned the game of golf in Rochester, New York at Genesee Valley in his 20s. How different of a world it was. The guy learned how to play the game, developed his game, had an ability, ended up injuring his elbow, had this odd swing. Calvin Peete came in a time past Lee Elder, when guys weren't allowed on golf courses, and before Tiger Woods, when they became Nike superstars. Calvin Peete was the African-American guy on the tour. Everybody knew it. I'm sure he faced racism more than most people would ever in their lifetime, but it wasn't like it was in the 50s and 60s and wasn't as great as it was later. But he was a heck of a golfer. 2 Ryder Cup teams, one, I'm trying to remember the exact number, I think it was 11 PGA titles that he won, and a guy who did it with style and class. People hit it farther than him, people hit it prettier than him, but nobody hit it straighter than Calvin Peete. Rest in peace.
I love the fact that you mentioned the word style, because that's something, too, that distinguished himself, because the barriers then had already been broken. He could have style. He could be himself out there.
Yeah, he was a popular guy on tour, a little quieter, but he faced a lot of things, but did it with his own style and grace.
Very good. That's our program. Johnny, thank you very much.
Billy, great show.
Great job as always.
It's fantastic.
Mike?
Thank you.
Way to bring up Randy Cunningworth. That's something I hadn't thought of.
No, thanks, man.
Nice to have you back, Pat.
I'm going to go wait in the broom closet till you guys need me again.
All righty. Well, it won't be as long as you might think. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week on the Original Rochester Press Box.